The Lost Masterpieces of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci. The name alone conjures images of genius, an artist, inventor, scientist, and philosopher whose contributions have shaped the very fabric of our understanding of the world. In today's video, we will delve into the fascinating world of Leonardo's lost masterpieces. These pieces are as elusive as they are intriguing, and we'll be exploring not only the historical and scientific efforts to recover them, but also the untold stories behind their disappearance. Using cutting-edge research, groundbreaking technologies, and expert insights, we'll follow the trail of these lost works and uncover the potential they hold to change our understanding of the Renaissance and of Leonardo himself. But while his legacy is forever etched in history, there exists a tantalizing mystery: the lost works of Leonardo. For centuries, historians, art critics, and treasure hunters have searched high and low to uncover the whereabouts of his missing masterpieces. What happened to these works? Why were they lost, or perhaps never finished in the first place? Da Vinci, considered by many the greatest mind to have ever lived, created fewer than 20 confirmed paintings during his lifetime. Yet his influence spans far beyond those few works. From The Last Supper, where we find perfect human emotion captured on a grand scale, to the Mona Lisa, which has captivated audiences for centuries with her enigmatic smile, Leonardo's artistic genius transcended his time. But despite his immense talent, many of his creations seem to have vanished from history's grasp. Why are so many of Leonardo's masterpieces lost? Some were destroyed, others possibly stolen or misplaced. The mystery has long fascinated historians, and the quest to recover these artworks has only grown over the years. What if these lost pieces were hiding in plain sight, waiting to reveal a new facet of Leonardo's artistic vision? Or perhaps they've been lost to time, buried under centuries of wars, neglect, and shifting cultural landscapes. But how do we search for what's lost? How do we distinguish truth from myth, reality from legend? In this video, we'll take you on a journey through history's great mysteries, the lost masterpieces of Leonardo da Vinci. Using groundbreaking research, scientific tools, and expert opinions, we'll dive deep into archival records, forensic analysis, and even clues hidden in Leonardo's own journals to explore the fate of his greatest works. These efforts aren't just about recovering lost art, they're about understanding Leonardo, the man, the mind, and the artist, on a deeper level. And in doing so, we may unlock secrets about the Renaissance itself, its culture, and the evolution of artistic thought. So what works are we talking about? In this video, we will uncover the stories behind 7 of Leonardo da Vinci's lost masterpieces. We'll explore his unfinished painting, the Leda and the Swan, a breathtaking work that has been lost to time, thought to have been destroyed, or perhaps even hidden away for centuries. Then we'll examine St. Jerome in the Wilderness, a canvas that could have revealed more about Leonardo's deep philosophical reflections and artistic evolution, yet remains shrouded in mystery. We will also delve into the Battle of Anghiari, a monumental fresco thought to have been lost beneath later works in the Palazzo Vecchio, and the portrait of Isabella d'Este, a royal portrait that was never completed. Additionally, we will discuss the Madonna of the Rocks, lost version, the crucifixion, and the altarpiece of St. Catherine, all of which remain elusive to this day. Stay with us as we explore these intriguing pieces of Leonardo's legacy and try to solve the riddle of their disappearance. One of the most enigmatic works in Leonardo da Vinci's lost collection is the Leda and the Swan. This painting, surrounded by mystery and intrigue, has captivated historians and art experts for centuries. But what do we really know about this masterpiece, and where is it now? The legend of Leda and the Swan stems from Greek mythology, where Zeus, in the form of a swan, seduces or rapes Leda, resulting in the birth of twins, Helen of Troy and the Dioscuri. This myth was a common subject for Renaissance artists, and Leonardo's treatment of it is unique for several reasons. The Leda and the Swan is thought to have been created around 1505, during a period of intense creativity for Leonardo. The painting was commissioned by Giuliano de' Medici, a member of the influential Medici family of Florence, who sought to have a representation of this mythological scene. There are no definitive records of where the painting was housed, but it's widely believed that it was once part of the Medici collection, perhaps hanging in their private chambers. Leonardo's depiction of Leda is unlike the typical, idealized versions of the time. His Leda is more naturalistic, blending the sensuality of the myth with the anatomical precision for which he was renowned. One key feature of the painting was the rendering of Leda's pose. She was shown in a moment of passive submission, a stance that elevated the psychological and emotional depth of the scene. This approach was not only artistically advanced for its time, but it also demonstrated Leonardo's groundbreaking understanding of human anatomy and the play of light and shadow. But the real mystery lies in the fate of the painting. Unlike many of Leonardo's works, the Leda and the Swan is completely lost to history. Some art historians believe that the painting was destroyed in a fire at the French royal court, where it was believed to have been kept in the 16th century. Other theories suggest it may have been hidden away, either deliberately concealed by its owner or misplaced during the turbulent periods of the Renaissance. Evidence of the painting's existence comes not only from written accounts, but also from Leonardo's own preparatory sketches. One of the most famous surviving images related to the Leda and the Swan is a drawing in the royal collection at Windsor Castle, showing the composition in great detail. This sketch reveals Leonardo's innovative approach, with the figure of Leda entwined with the Swan, and hints of the background landscape that would have appeared in the final piece. Despite these clues, no one can say for sure what happened to the Leda and the Swan. Some believe that the painting may have been sold or stolen over the centuries, hidden in private collections. Others propose that it was never truly finished, leaving behind a shadow of what could have been one of Leonardo's greatest works. Modern technology has attempted to uncover its secrets. Art experts have used infrared imaging and X-ray techniques on known copies of the painting, such as those by pupils of Leonardo, like Giuliano Bugiardini. These reproductions, however, offer only glimpses of Leonardo's brilliance, and they serve as a tantalizing reminder of the work that once existed. A few fragments of the painting's composition have survived in these versions, which continue to fuel speculation about its true appearance. Even though the Leda and the Swan is lost to time, its impact on art history cannot be overstated. The mythological subject matter was a popular theme during the Renaissance, and Leonardo's treatment of it exemplified his ability to merge classical ideas with his own innovative approach to the human form. While we may never lay eyes on the original painting, its legacy endures through the many references to it in art history and the records left behind by the great master himself. Next, we'll explore another of Leonardo's lost masterpieces, Saint Jerome in the Wilderness. Stay tuned as we continue our journey through Leonardo's missing works and attempt to piece together the secrets of his creative genius. Leonardo da Vinci's Saint Jerome in the Wilderness is another of his masterpieces that remains lost to time, its whereabouts unknown and its full composition shrouded in mystery. Unlike many of Leonardo's well-known works, Saint Jerome offers a glimpse into his deep intellectual engagement with both religion and nature, but only through fragments and second-hand accounts. Created around 1480, Saint Jerome in the Wilderness is believed to have been painted during a time when Leonardo was working in Milan, under the patronage of Ludovico Sforza, Duke of Milan. The painting was commissioned as part of a religious series to be displayed in a chapel. Saint Jerome, the Christian scholar and translator of the Bible, is depicted as a solitary figure in the wilderness, experiencing a moment of spiritual reflection and penance. The figure of Saint Jerome is shown in a strikingly naturalistic way, something that became characteristic of Leonardo's work. The saint is depicted seated on a rock, deeply engaged in contemplation. A lion, a symbol associated with Jerome due to the legend of him healing a wounded lion, sits at his feet. The wilderness is no mere backdrop here, but an integral part of the narrative, an expression of the saint's internal conflict and spiritual journey. But like many of Leonardo's works, this painting was never finished. The reasons for this remain speculative, but we do know that Leonardo's attention was often diverted by other projects. He was constantly drawn to new ideas and innovations, which left several works unfinished throughout his career. Saint Jerome in the Wilderness was one such project that was never completed, yet its impact on the Renaissance was profound. The surviving evidence of Saint Jerome in the Wilderness comes in the form of a sketch in the Royal Collection at Windsor Castle. This drawing, made by Leonardo himself, gives us a clear understanding of his intended composition. It shows Jerome in the same pose, sitting on a rock with the lion beside him, but without the detailed environment and surrounding wilderness that would have been in the final painting. The sketch reflects Leonardo's meticulous approach to anatomy, capturing Jerome's musculature and pose with remarkable precision. One of the fascinating aspects of this painting is its philosophical depth. Saint Jerome, often depicted as a hermit in art, represents the ideal of asceticism and spiritual purification. Leonardo's rendition of him goes beyond the simple iconography of the saint. It suggests an inner psychological complexity. The way Jerome is positioned, almost as though in dialogue with nature itself, reflects Leonardo's increasing interest in human psychology, which would become a hallmark of his later works, such as The Last Supper. Despite its unfinished state, Saint Jerome in the Wilderness remains a key work in understanding Leonardo's evolution as both an artist and a thinker. Some scholars believe that the painting was part of a broader spiritual narrative, aligning with Leonardo's fascination with nature, science, and the human experience. It was a piece that not only explored religious themes, but also blended them with an early form of the naturalism and psychological exploration that would later define much of the Renaissance. As with many of Leonardo's lost works, the mystery surrounding Saint Jerome in the Wilderness only deepens with time. Some art historians suggest the painting could have been destroyed or lost during the turbulent years that followed its creation. Others speculate that it may have been hidden away in a private collection, its existence obscured by the passage of centuries. While we may never see the complete work, the surviving evidence of Saint Jerome in the Wilderness reveals a masterful exploration of human emotion in the natural world. The sketch is a testament to Leonardo's genius, showcasing not only his artistic skill, but his profound understanding of anatomy, psychology, and the spiritual realm. In the next section, we'll turn our attention to another of Leonardo's lost works, the Battle of Anghiari. Stay with us as we continue to uncover the secrets of Leonardo's missing masterpieces. One of Leonardo da Vinci's most famous and tantalizingly elusive works is the Battle of Anghiari, a fresco that has long captivated the imagination of historians, art lovers, and researchers alike. Commissioned in 1504 by the Florentine government, this monumental painting was meant to be the centerpiece of the Sala del Gran Consiglio in the Palazzo Vecchio, the civic heart of Florence. Its subject, a historic conflict between the Florentines and the Milanese, was not merely a battle of arms but also a symbol of the city's proud military heritage. The Battle of Anghiari was intended to immortalize the 1440 battle near the town of Anghiari, where the forces of the Republic of Florence defeated the Milanese. This painting would be one of Leonardo's grandest projects, showcasing his ability to capture motion and human emotion in a way that no artist before him had done. As one of the earliest Renaissance artists to study anatomy and the dynamics of movement, Leonardo was determined to bring this battle to life, conveying not just the action, but the psychological intensity of war. Unlike other battle scenes of the period, which often focused on static and ceremonial depictions, the Battle of Anghiari was meant to be revolutionary. Leonardo's composition emphasized dynamic action, with a fierce clash between the Florentine and Milanese forces. The focal point of the fresco was a dramatic encounter between the Florentine captain, Niccolo da Tolentino, and his Milanese counterpart. The figures were meant to be caught in the throes of combat, each muscle, each movement imbued with life. Leonardo's innovative approach to this painting is most clearly seen in his depiction of motion and emotion. The way he captured the writhing figures, with horses and men locked in a violent struggle, was unlike anything that had been seen before. His use of intense gestures, intricate facial expressions, and foreshortening to convey action gave the work a level of realism that made it stand out from other Renaissance works. Unfortunately, despite the painting's significance, the Battle of Anghiari was never completed. By 1506, work on the fresco was halted, and in subsequent years, the fresco began to deteriorate. Some sources suggest that Leonardo's method of applying the paint was less than ideal, contributing to its rapid degradation. Leonardo had experimented with a new technique involving tempera on a dry wall, which led to its eventual destruction. Attempts to preserve or restore the fresco were unsuccessful, and by the 16th century, it was completely lost. However, the legacy of the Battle of Anghiari lives on, not just in history, but in the field of art history itself. A great deal of Leonardo's preparatory work, including sketches and studies of horses, figures, and anatomy, has survived. Scholars also believe that the Battle of Anghiari influenced other artists who sought to capture similar intensity in their work. Additionally, there have been numerous attempts to recover remnants of the fresco, including explorations behind the walls of the Palazzo Vecchio, where it was thought to have been painted. In 2005, the art historian Maurizio Saracini led a team of researchers that used cutting-edge technology, including infrared scans, to investigate the walls of the Sala del Gran Concilio for traces of the lost fresco. While their work has not definitively uncovered the fresco itself, their discoveries and ongoing investigations have brought renewed interest in the lost masterpiece and sparked a global effort to solve the mystery of its disappearance. Despite the absence of the fresco itself, the Battle of Anghiari remains a symbol of Leonardo's genius. It was a masterpiece that pushed the boundaries of what art could achieve, making us wonder, what could Leonardo have done if the fresco had been completed? What more would we have learned about his mastery of motion, human emotion, and the world of conflict? Although we may never fully uncover the Battle of Anghiari, its legacy continues to inspire generations of artists, historians, and art lovers. It is a reminder of Leonardo da Vinci's boundless creativity and his relentless pursuit of perfection in the depiction of the human condition. In 1499, Leonardo da Vinci was commissioned by one of the most powerful and influential women of the Renaissance, Isabella d'Este, the Marchioness of Mantua, to create a portrait of her. Isabella was a renowned patron of the arts, a woman of immense political and cultural influence, and one of the leading figures in the Italian Renaissance. Known for her beauty, intellect, and refined tastes, Isabella wanted a portrait that would immortalize her image for both contemporaries and future generations. Isabella's portrait was to be painted in the traditional form of a profile, a style that was common at the time. However, Leonardo's approach was unique. Instead of the standard flat profile, he sought to create a more dynamic and intimate representation, one that conveyed not just the external appearance of Isabella, but also her personality and status. This was a portrait that was meant to convey power, grace, and sophistication. Unfortunately, the portrait of Isabella d'Este, like many of Leonardo's works, was never completed. Despite having made detailed preparations and even working on the portrait for several months, Leonardo ultimately abandoned the project. It is believed that he left the work unfinished due to a combination of his increasingly scattered interests, his obsession with other scientific and artistic pursuits, and perhaps his dissatisfaction with the portrait itself. There are few surviving details of what this unfinished masterpiece would have looked like. Some of the surviving references to the portrait suggest that it may have been very different from traditional portraits of the time. Isabella d'Este, a woman of immense power, was often portrayed in royal regalia. Yet Leonardo's portrayal was meant to convey a sense of personal beauty and grace, much more subtle than typical depictions of noble women. Despite its incompleteness, the portrait of Isabella d'Este has intrigued scholars for centuries. There are records of its existence from Leonardo's own notebooks and from the correspondence between Isabella and her contemporaries, though no copies or versions of the portrait have ever been discovered. In fact, no known works attributed to Leonardo that represent Isabella d'Este have survived. All that remains are tantalizing fragments of the story, leaving us to wonder, what did this lost portrait look like? What did it reveal about the nature of the sitter and the artist? Over time, many art historians and researchers have speculated on the fate of this portrait. Some suggest that Leonardo was not entirely satisfied with it and simply abandoned the work, while others propose that it may have been lost or destroyed, possibly during one of the many upheavals in Italy during the Renaissance. It is also possible that it was deliberately hidden away, lost to time, and its existence has remained a mystery. In the end, the fate of the portrait of Isabella d'Este remains one of Leonardo's greatest mysteries. While we may never know the true extent of the painting, its very existence highlights Leonardo's unique approach to portraiture and his ability to capture the depth of human character in a way few others could. Perhaps more than any of his other works, this portrait reminds us of Leonardo's relentless pursuit of perfection, even when it meant leaving a masterpiece incomplete. Isabella d'Este's portrait, like so many of Leonardo's other works, remains lost to us, yet it continues to captivate the imagination. It is a symbol of the many masterpieces that Leonardo began but could never finish, and a reminder of the elusive nature of his artistic genius. Milan, 1483. The city is a hub of art and innovation, and at the heart of it, a young Leonardo da Vinci, already an emerging master, is given a monumental task, a commission for the Church of San Francesco. He is to create an altarpiece that will awe and inspire the faithful. What could possibly go wrong? Well, centuries later, this very masterpiece has disappeared, leaving us with a mystery that has captivated art historians for years. The Madonna of the Rocks, the lost version? The Madonna of the Rocks we know today resides in the National Gallery in London, but this is not the original painting created for San Francesco. That version, commissioned by the Confraternity of the Immaculate Conception, is lost. And while we have a surviving work, what happened to the original? And why does it remain shrouded in mystery? To understand its disappearance, let's first set the stage. Milan in the late 1400s was a city on the rise, dominated by the Sforza family and their patronage of the arts. Leonardo, ever the innovator, was tasked with this commission to create a scene of the Virgin Mary, the infant Jesus, Saint John the Baptist, and the angel Uriel. But this was no ordinary religious painting. No, Leonardo's vision was far grander. The composition itself was groundbreaking. Unlike the typical altar scenes of the time, Leonardo placed the figures in a rocky grotto, set in a surreal, almost otherworldly environment. His use of light and shadow, chiaroscuro, was revolutionary, giving the figures a depth and realism never before seen. And let's not forget his iconic sfumato technique, which softens the transitions between light and dark, creating an almost ethereal glow around the figures. Leonardo completed the altarpiece and it was installed in the Church of San Francesco. But what happened next is where the mystery deepens. By the late 1600s, the church underwent renovations. And somewhere in those renovations, the altarpiece disappeared. Was it destroyed? Was it looted, or did it vanish into the mists of time? We may never know. Some historians believe the altarpiece was simply destroyed during the church's reconstruction. Others speculate that it could have been looted, hidden away, or even relocated to a private collection, though no definitive records support this. But here's where things get even more fascinating. The surviving version of the Madonna of the Rocks, painted between 1495 and 1508, offers us a glimpse into Leonardo's evolving artistic genius. While similar, it is not the same as the lost original. The figures are more defined, the landscape more intricate. But despite the differences, it's clear that the surviving version was built upon the groundwork of the original. Leonardo's exploration of light, his manipulation of space, and his ability to render the human figure in such a lifelike way, all of these are present, refined, and perfected. Let's take a closer look at the surviving version in the National Gallery. The light falls across the figures in such a way that they almost seem to glow from within, the rock formations behind them almost dissolving into the background. But it's the angel Uriel who holds your gaze. His face, soft and serene, captured in the moment of divine revelation, is a testament to Leonardo's mastery of human expression. Now, if we compare this to what we know of the lost version, we see differences in the background. Where the rocky grotto is more defined in the surviving piece, the original may have had more muted and abstract landscapes. But one thing is certain: Leonardo was experimenting with new techniques and ideas that would later define the High Renaissance. The lost version of Madonna of the Rocks is a key to understanding his artistic evolution. While we can never truly know what happened to the original Madonna of the Rocks, its legacy lives on. The surviving version continues to influence artists and serves as a window into Leonardo's brilliance. It's a reminder of how fleeting masterpieces can be, and how art, like time itself, is often lost and rediscovered in fragments. From the bustling streets of 15th century Milan to the quiet halls of the National Gallery in London, Leonardo's Madonna of the Rocks stands as a testament to both artistic genius and the enduring mystery of lost masterpieces. And though we may never know the fate of the original painting, it remains one of the most profound mysteries in the history of art. Imagine a fresco, a grand depiction of the crucifixion. It's one of those monumental works that Leonardo da Vinci was commissioned to create in his early career. However, despite its importance in historical documents, this painting, simply known as the crucifixion, has never been found. It's mentioned in letters and records, but what happened to it? Let's uncover the mystery behind Leonardo's lost fresco. The crucifixion fresco is believed to have been commissioned in the early 1480s for a chapel in the monastery of San Donato a Scopeto, located just outside Florence. The work was part of a larger series of religious commissions that Leonardo was involved in at the time. Known for his religious works, including the famous Last Supper, Leonardo was already honing his mastery of human emotion and divine drama. The crucifixion, if it existed, would have been one of his first attempts at capturing one of Christianity's most iconic scenes. Why don't we have any surviving images of this work? The crucifixion fresco is mentioned in various historical records, including letters by Leonardo's contemporaries, who describe it as a large-scale fresco meant to be displayed in the monastery's chapel. But no surviving sketches, preparatory works, or the fresco itself have ever been found. Some art historians believe that the fresco may have been destroyed, either during the tumultuous events of the late 15th century or later renovations of the monastery. It's not uncommon for Renaissance frescoes to be lost to time, whether due to destruction, neglect, or the ravages of war. In the case of the crucifixion, there are also theories that it was never completed, or perhaps that it was overshadowed by Leonardo's more famous works. As the years passed, the fresco, if it did exist, simply faded into the annals of history. Though we have no surviving image of this fresco, we can speculate on what it might have looked like. Based on Leonardo's style and the period's conventions, the scene would have been dramatic, filled with emotion. Imagine the stark contrast of light and shadow, the intensity of human suffering depicted with Leonardo's mastery of chiaroscuro, his ability to convey movement, the tension in the figures, and the delicate balance between divine and human expression, all of these would have brought the scene to life, adding depth and psychological complexity. Although the crucifixion fresco is lost, its mention in historical texts confirms that Leonardo was deeply involved in religious commissions in his early years, long before he would go on to produce some of the most famous religious scenes in history. If it had survived, it would likely be considered one of his significant early works, alongside the Last Supper and the Annunciation. Today, all we have are the fragments of its existence, documented mentions, and the possibility that it once graced the walls of a chapel, its vivid colors and dramatic composition lost to history. Leonardo's crucifixion remains one of the many mysteries surrounding his incredible body of work, another piece of his artistic genius that we can only imagine. The altarpiece of St. Catherine is a notable yet elusive work from Leonardo da Vinci's early career. Commissioned in 1483, this piece was intended for the Church of San Francesco in Pisa, Italy, and it represents a pivotal moment in Leonardo's development as a master artist. Though historical documents mention this work, no visual records of it have survived, and its current location remains unknown. In 1483, the prior of the Church of San Francesco, located in Pisa, requested an altarpiece featuring Saint Catherine of Alexandria, a highly revered saint in Christian tradition. Saint Catherine, known for her intellectual prowess and steadfast faith, was often depicted in art as a young woman holding a wheel, a symbol of her martyrdom. The altarpiece was to be a devotional work intended to serve both the spiritual needs of the congregation and the artistic ambitions of the church. This commission occurred at a critical point in Leonardo's career. Leonardo had recently completed the Last Supper in Milan and was honing his skills in the use of oil paints, which would later become a hallmark of his style. It is believed that the altarpiece of St. Catherine would have featured Leonardo's characteristic use of light and shadow and his increasingly sophisticated understanding of human anatomy, which he had been studying intensely at the time. Unfortunately, unlike Leonardo's more famous works, the altarpiece of St. Catherine is shrouded in mystery. While there is documentation regarding the commission and its completion, no surviving sketches or preparatory drawings have been found. There is speculation that the altarpiece was either never completed, or if it was, that it was lost or destroyed during the volatile political and social upheaval of the late 15th century in Italy. Some sources suggest that it may have been lost during a fire that ravaged the church, or as a result of the turmoil in Pisa during the Italian Wars, a period of conflict that saw shifting allegiances and the looting or destruction of many works of art. Although the altarpiece of St. Catherine remains lost, the commission itself speaks to the growing demand for Leonardo's work in the religious and civic spheres of Renaissance Italy. The Church of San Francesco in Pisa would have been eager to feature a work by a rising star like Leonardo, who was already becoming known for his dramatic compositions and his pioneering use of perspective. The loss of this altarpiece, therefore, is not just an art historical enigma, but also a cultural tragedy that speaks to the broader destruction of Renaissance art during periods of instability. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the lost masterpieces of Leonardo da Vinci. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more philosophical insights. We'll see you in the next one, where we dive into another fascinating philosopher's take on art. Thanks for watching.